Hi, I'm Pastor Dave, and this is a video commentary through the book of Matthew. I'm going to go ahead and look at a very uh, common verse that's read many times, and hopefully give you a little bit better understanding of what Jesus is talking about. It's in Matthew 20, and we're looking here at verse 24. And again, this was after the rich young ruler went away sad because he didn't want to give up all his possessions and follow Jesus. And Jesus says this. He says, "Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God." When the disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished, saying, "Who then can be saved?" But Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." Now, notice often we hear about the rich man, or it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, and it sounds really ridiculous. Of course, you could never ever stuff a camel through the eye of a needle. And so this prompts his disciples to say, well, then who can be saved? I mean, everybody's got something except, the people that are poor or that are begging for alms or that are homeless, and even with the homeless, they have something. But a lot of times we miss the last thing that he says there. He says, with God, all things are possible. And what he's saying there is that if our focus is on riches, if our worth and our value is on things that are accumulated in this life, then yeah, it's impossible to be focused on the kingdom of God. However, if we have a shift in perspective, if we are merely stewards of God's resources, and we consider everything that we have is the Lord's and His for His purposes, we may own property, we may have a lot of funds, but we use what we have for the kingdom of God. And we still have plenty we only need so much to take care of ourselves, and then we can also bless other people that are in need. We can do a lot of good with the resources God gives us. Now, some people, they just splurge on themselves and they only live for this life, but others, God's blessed them financially, and so they use their finances for the kingdom of God. And so what God is saying here is that, look, yes, with man, it's impossible because he's always going to be focused on his own. But with God, all things are possible. In other words, with God, it doesn't matter whether you have a little or have a lot. You have a perspective that everything is His. And if everything is His, and it's all basically just on loan while you're in this life, and then you get even more riches, which you can't even imagine what it's like when you're with Him in eternity. And when His kingdom is established here on earth, it says we're going to have authority over angels. I mean, so what do we care so much? Why do we put so much focus? Yes, it's fine to have resources, to have money and all that, but often most people can't handle wealth. It's true. There's something called the Pareto principle that, if you redistributed 80% of the wealth most of the wealth to all the world, it would end up back in the top 20% hands anyways at the end of 10 or 20 years, because most people can't handle wealth. It's a distraction, but some can. So when we read this, it's not saying, oh, being rich is bad. What it's saying is that no matter who you are and where you are in life, your focus needs to be on the kingdom of God. Hopefully that helps you to understand this in a broader context. And if you like these videos, go ahead and click the subscribe button, or we encourage you to go to Hope Chapel Westside and download our app, and you'll get access to our library of teachings. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.